Good afternoon, distinguished students and our very eminent lecturers, for those who have joined. I want to welcome you to this special seminar. Of course, this is not a research seminar, but rather a skill building seminar. And the idea basically is to help develop critical skills that we need to be able to carry out research that will be impactful. This is just the first part of the series of skill building seminars that we will be having in this in CP's seminar series. So we are all researchers, and as a researcher, we need to have a toolbox, and we should be we should regularly improve or increase the number of tools in our toolbox. The reason being that the tools you have in your toolbox determine the quality and the quantity of research output that can come from you. It can also limit the scope of your of answering your research questions and many other things. So, as a researcher, you must be confident about your toolbox and continue to add to it, particularly with the increasing nature of research technology that we now have, and then you also need to remember that within your toolbox you could have tools that are theoretical, tools that are empirical, and those that are technological in a way. And even the technological one, beyond your laptop, beyond, you now also have to be up to date in terms of the virtual technology that you can harness for your study. So one of those virtual technology is the Google Data Studio, which I want to share with you. Today's presentation is not really to make you an expert in the use of this tool, but rather to introduce it to you and at least get you familiar with the interface and possibly stimulate your interest in the use of this virtual platform. So try as much as possible to see if it's a tool that you can add to toolbox. So, but I intend to first answer the question of what data visualization is all about. As a matter of fact, data visualization as is a field. It's a field of study. Now that you have the data explosion, the big data and all of that, so going through massive data and drawing insight from those massive data will be very challenging. So data visualization is a compact way, and then we will try to understand what it entails. But again, why do we have to visualize data? We will try to explain, particularly for researchers. It's not only researchers that need data visualization. Those in industry, those in marketing, those in different fields, spheres of life, they do data visualization. But for us, as researchers, why do we need data visualization? And why should we be interested in the Google Data Studio? What does it offer? We'll quickly answer that. And then what are the basic tools in the Google Data visualization that you can readily harness for your research to improve the quality of your research output. And then I will take you to the Google Studio interface, the environment, and get you to know some of the features of the interface. Then do one or two visual demonstrations. So this is the rundown. I don't, and it's going to be very brief. So what is data visualization? The simple definition is that it's a way of presenting information and data in graphical form, in form of charts, form of graphs, in form of maps, because sometimes what you see, you tend to remember more than what you hear. So people, of course, there is this popular saying that one picture is worth more than certain number of words. So a picture can tell more story than the long story that you write. Just imagine if I ask you to describe the director of CP. You have to write about his head, about his hands, about his legs, about his color. But just one picture tells the whole story much more better than the volume of write-ups that they want to produce. So they are captivating, they communicate, or they bring home the information, compared to when you have your data in numbers, particularly when you have massive, collection of numerical and even non-numerical facts. So putting those information in form of charts, in graphs, in maps, constitute what we mean by data visualization. So easily from the charts or from the graphs, from the maps, you can see trends, you can see outliers, those are observations which are not behaving like the rest. So you could easily see patterns, you could easily see relationships in your data. And that is why data visualization is not about whether I'm studying energy economics or energy law. It's a tool that you can utilize regardless of your field of study. So how do you convert your information? How do you convert your data, numerical data, whether even qualitative data, to graphs, to be able to bring home, draw insights, from those data points. So data is very central in research. I'm particularly now more interested in our research endeavor. So data is just at the center of our research. As a matter of fact, can you even do any apart from maybe if you are doing theoretical research, like that, you are formulating theoretical principles and so on like that. But in empirical research, you just have to confront the theory with the evidence, and then be able to see whether what is existing in a particular situation is in line with what the theory says. So data is very, very central. It's just at the middle of research. And when I say it's in the middle, it's just to say that from the start to the end, you just have to talk about data. So from problem identification, when you are trying to discover the problem or identify the problem, when you are trying to formulate the research question, hypothesis, and so on, data visualization can be used to really depict the gap or the problem. So it's not just at the very end of your research or at the middle, but even from the start of the research conceptualization, you can begin to use data visualization. It brings home the gap much more clearly. Even when you are developing your the research design, what methodology you will use, that can also be seriously influenced by the data. So The design will include the method, the data you collect, and so on. And of course, the most important part is when you have to communicate your research findings. Data visualization plays a very critical role to be able to bring your findings, to those who are not experts, to be able to communicate to them in the language they will possibly understand. You are a domain expert. You have your terminologies, you have your concept, you have all of that, which the readers, the audience may not be familiar with. So data visualization helps to simplify the results and brings it home to those who are not experts in the field. So what does Google Data Studio, what does it offer? One basic reason why you may want to consider it is that you are not going to pay for it. There are so many other data visualization tools around. R is one of them. Stata, eViews, even your Excel, and so on like that. They are all, they have some modules for doing data visualization, but sometimes at a cost. And for open source software like R, even though it's not at a cost, you must be able to write commands, or you must be able to write simple codes to be able to do the data visualization. But in the Google Data Studio, you don't need to, you are not paying for anything. All you probably need to do is to have a Gmail account to be able to use it. So it's free, you are not paying. One other thing that makes it attractive is that you can integrate it with other Google apps or tools, such as the Google Ads Manager, Google Sheets. In fact, the demonstration I will do today is going to come from the Google Sheet. So sometimes, even for some time, I stop putting my data in the Microsoft Excel. Not that it's bad, but Google Sheet, with Google Sheet, you are able to do a lot of things, particularly if you have to use this Google Data Studio. There is also the Google Analytics, which can be integrated into the Google Data Studio. You will see some of that. And the third reason why you might want to show interest is that it lives in the cloud. I mean, anything can happen to your laptop. It can be stolen, God forbid. It can there could be damage. I mean, anything can happen. But Google Studio is not what you will download and install on your laptop. No, it's on the cloud, and then simultaneously you can access it in multiple devices. If you have your hand your hand device, you can access it at the same time, access it on your laptop. So, and most interestingly is the fact that multiple people can collaborate on the same report. 2, 3, 4 people, can be working together on the same report. So that makes it very, very interesting. In other words, where you have 2, 3, 4 people working together on a project, you know, yeah. And one is, it doesn't matter the geographical location of the three, or they don't even need to know one another, but they can work together, you know, and generate same report on the Google Data Studio. The good thing now is that it's relatively easy to learn. The learning curve, I won't say it's not that steep. But you do, nothing is so or too easy to. You just have to have the interest. You just have to also show a level of commitment. So it's very powerful and interactive. It's a very powerful and interactive reporting tool. So you will see some of these features in the interface. So what are the tools available in the Google Data Studio? One, you can do data tabulation so easily. You can do pivoting. You can visualize discrete numerical data. You can filter qualitative attributes. Those are categorical attributes. So, non-numerical attributes. You can filter not just for qualitative, also both qualitative and quantitative attributes can be filtered almost simultaneously. So you maybe with time you see how some of these tools are used. When you have time you have time frequency data, data that collected over time, then you can also visualize that in Google Data Studio. You can do a lot of bubble plots. You know what that is as we go on in this series of capacity skill development seminar. You can explore relationship between variables, that two quantitative variables. And lastly, you could do geographic visualization instead of just using tables and so on. You could actually use the map of the location or the region that you are trying to study. The map could be map of country, map of locality, map of the continent. So you could have geographic visualizations. So at this point, I'm going to, this is a screenshot of the Google Data Studio interface. But I'm going to switch now to take us through the environment. How do you get started with the Google Data Studio? But quickly, I can entertain one or two questions before I move on. Just to allow any question. Great. So what we want to do now is to see how we can start with the Google Data Studio. So once you have a Gmail account, I'm actually using the Gmail account of CP. So, but let me use my own Gmail. So once you are on your Gmail, what you need to do is to go to the Google search and then just type Google Data Studio. Once you type, you will see the search outcomes, and easily you can see the Google Data Studio, the link to the Google Data Studio. And that is the starting point. It's not going to be on your desktop like other packages or other data analytical software. So it's just right there in the cloud. So once you click that, it takes you to the Google Data Studio interface. I'm sure if you are following me, you'll be able to see this is the interface. Because I'm also, this is my own account. And then in this interface, this is where you start from. Basically, you can create reports. You can also choose your data source. And then you can explore. Then the good thing is that if there are reports that are shared with you, you can easily see them here. So if you click here, you will see those that are shared with you. You will see those reports that you created yourself. So you can see templates that you can choose here. You can also come here to choose to go to the template gallery. In which case, even if you are not too conversant with any with how to start or what to do, you can start with any template, and then if the template is of interest to you, you must also be sure that it will that the type of data you have is similar to the type of data used to build the template. But it's always good if also you can build your own report directly. So let me go back to this. Sometimes if you are starting as a new user, you might need to complete some forms. But take time to complete those forms, and the usual terms and conditions for use. You have to complete those ones and submit before you can have the final access to this. So you can also start with your own blank report. And for purpose of this demonstration, I can start with my own blank report. And yeah, before I start with that, let me show you the data that has been uploaded or the link to the data I'm going to use for this demonstration has been shared on our Google Classroom, you know, and that data is on access to, it's a Google spreadsheet. This is the, so this is the data that I want to use. Uh, uh, the data was downloaded. I think the link has been shared. If you go to our Google Classroom, PO actually downloaded the data set from Africa Energy Portal, and this is the link. You know, if you also want to download the data. But this is what we have in the data. The data didn't come in this format, so we need to put the data in the right format so that we have the variables in the column, and then you have the countries in the row for different, for instance, for Algeria, we have from 2013 to 2020, and then Angola, and so on. We have quite a number of African countries in that data set. So we have for each country and for each year, you have data on electricity installed, capacity in total renewable energy, electricity installed, capacity in hydropower, and so on and so forth. You have quite a number of data. Of course, you can see some countries have zero entry. So this is the data that we want to utilize for this. And this data has, we have other data in the, as you can see in the bottom, this is for the first sheet, Africa electricity. We also have another one in the second sheet and so on. But we are more, we are going to use this one for this demonstration. So back to our, so this is, let me go back. This is our Google Data Studio. And as I said earlier before, taking you through the data that we want to use. The starting point is to use the blank report. So you are creating your own report, and that report will come from the data set on access to electricity. So the GDS will ask you to select where you want to connect to data, or if you want to use existing data in your file. If you already have Google Drive, you could have data there, but it's always advisable for me. As I said earlier, I have my data in the Google Sheet, but you could also have your data in your device. If you have your data on your device, you just simply come here and use the file upload. But here, for you to use this, you must save the file in the CSV format, CSV, comma, separated values. So you can easily do that on your Microsoft Excel. Just go to File, Save As, and then go to the extension and choose the CSV file. So that converts it to CSV file. So, but for this demonstration, I'm interested in the data that I already have in the Google Sheets. So that data is this. As you can see here, the name of the data is data set on access to electricity and the cooking fuel. So I can look around now for that data set, and this is it. So it's going to tell me the worksheet where I have data. As I earlier mentioned, there are actually have data on two worksheets. So which of the worksheets do I want? I can choose here. If I want the second one, I'll choose this, but I actually want the first one. So there are options. Maybe I want the first row as headers. Yes, I want that because that defines the variable name. So I can choose that. And then include hidden and filtered cells. Yes. So once I'm through with that, I will say add. So there will be this pop-up window, but you can easily accept add to report. So it's adding. Please, if for any reason you want to ask questions, feel free. It's more of there's no rigidity here. At any point, feel free to stop me to ask and clarify whatever is not very clear. PO, please help me look at the question. We are almost to now. So the first thing you can see here is a table, even though I didn't call for it, but it's always good to start by giving a title to your report. So I can say this is CP demo, CP demo. So that report has a title now, which I call the CP demo. And the good thing here is that I can share, I can invite people to join me, I can invite the whole class to join me now. I can have a scheduled email delivery, I can get a report link, and then just get the link here, copy the link, and paste it for you people to join in using this report. Fine. I can, so quite a lot of things can be done. But some of these we will begin to get used to them as we go on. So let's come to this table. So this is more like a default table that is created. You remember we have, as a matter of fact, we have 42 countries there. So this is what you can see here. There are 42 countries. And then the record count for each country shows that there are eight you have for each country 8 years. But so this does the summary, and that's this is where you handle the issue of what you want to see in this table. So in this part, you can choose what you want to see in this table. So good, we want to see the country, that may be necessary, but count may not be something that will possibly be of interest to us. I might be interested, for instance, in the, for purpose of this demonstration, I'm interested in the final consumption. And so this is final electricity final consumption per capita. So what you have seen in the table now is the sum over the 8 years that so for Seychelles, that's 40,000 to kilowatt of electricity final consumption per capita. And so for South Africa, it's 28,000 and so on like that. But I may change what I want to see from being the sum over the 8 years to average. So if I'm interested in average, you will see now the table has changed. So if I'm interested in the minimum for those years for each country, I can also choose this. So these are some statistics or level of aggregation that I can choose from. There are other features here. If it's number, I can choose. If it's currency, I can choose. I can also do sort of comparison, calculation. All of this, with time, we will get to see how they are used. So this is the table for this, showing. So if you look through, maybe before we do that, let me show you now that we could possibly add another variable. Let's say I'm interested in relationship. I'm interested in relationship. So I will add another metric, and that metric now could be just for purpose of demonstration. I will add electricity generated from renewable, electricity generated from renewable. So you will see that is the table again. So that is the table. So easily you can compare the average for the 8 years of electricity final consumption per capita for each country with the electricity generated from renewable sources. One thing that you can do for that is in a visual form, which is actually one of the reasons why we are here. And so I can choose, go here, and then add a chart. So when I click this, you will see a number of charts that you can choose from. So one chart that I want to choose is the scatter plot. So I'm going to choose a scatter plot, and then so I have this. So I have this, but this is just a default one. I now need to change a number of things because what I want is comparison or look at the relationship between final consumption per capita and electricity generated from renewable. But what is showing here is the relationship between record count. That's why all of them, happen to be 8. But so rather than having record count here on the, so you can easily choose what you want to see on the x-axis. This is x-axis. So what I have here presently is the record, but that is not what I want. You can also choose what you want to see on the y-axis. So instead of record count here, I can put here the final electricity final consumption. So I can also instead of using the sum, as I said earlier, average will possibly be better. So I have the average for electricity final consumption on my x-axis. On my y-axis, yes, I want not just the sum, but rather I want the average. So I have this. So you can see the relationship now, but maybe the relationship is not so clear yet. There are quite a number of things that you can do to choose your style. So you can come to this side and choose the style you want. So here I can choose a label. So this is now showing you the point that this observation represents. This is Egypt right here. This is country, this is Mozambique. And you can also see the values for the two metrics that we have chosen. This is South Africa here. This is that. You could also choose to have the bubble color if you so wish. There are so many options here which you can depend on your if you want to include a trend line, you can include a trend line, for instance. So this is the trend line which you can easily include. So here you are not writing any command, you are not writing any code, you are simply so you can even reverse the axis direction. You can also choose what should be the minimum axis for the y, and what should be the maximum. But what is there now is auto. So you could also, yes, to make it a little bit more interesting, you could, yeah, so you could use a log scale, which actually makes the distribution a little bit. So you could see those countries that are having below 2,000, below 2,000 electricity, generating below 2,000 gigawatt of electricity. You can see So you can also talk about the legend and where to position the legend. So if you choose this is auto, or you can choose whether you want it. You can choose whatever point you want. Maybe this is 24. You can choose. You can change the color, the legend of the color. You can have this. So this is the country. So many, depending on your the choice of style you want. You can also have the background border. You can choose how the background should be. So you can use a dashed line for the background. You can use other background colors. You can show the header, which direction you want the header. So these are different styles that you can choose from. So you can show the colors by country. This is what I've done, so that each country actually has its own color, and then you can choose the position of the legend. So this is too much. That's why you are not able to see. So if I make it auto, I'm likely to see quite a number of them. So this is exactly 1 hour. So this is just one thing that you can do. So as I said, the essence of this presentation is just first to get you familiar with the environment, or at least introduce you to this Google Data Studio, and see whether you can add it to your Google, to your toolbox, and begin to interactively engage with the interface and draw insights from your data. Thank you very much. Theo.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Probably anybody have questions, kindly raise your hand to ask your question. Participate in the pool. The third pool is on now. Kindly take your pool. Kayode Oluwadare, kindly ask your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Prof, sir. Thank you very much for your time, sir. I just want to ask, sir, how compatible is this Google Data Studio as a visualization tool with some data analysis tools like R and R Studio? How compatible it is, sir? Or are they alternatives, or are they compatible, like one is a subset of the other, sir? I just want to clarify on this, sir.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. First, they are independent platforms, but like other softwares which are not devoted solely for data visualization. The Google Data Studio is solely for data visualization. So it helps you to quickly look at the data and draw insights from your data. The only aspect where they are most of look at the various sources of data that you can have. These are different platforms. So from different apps, if you are familiar with MSQL, for instance, you could draw your data from that platform. These are other, in fact, from YouTube analytics, you could draw your data, but I have not seen how. And the data you use in R also, it has to be in a spreadsheet. So if you use your data in R, and you want to use the same data in Google Data Studio, nothing stops you. But you are not going to connect your R to the Google Data Studio. Only that you can share this same data between them. But as to whether, I mean, like the Google Data Studio, you can't do regression. You can't do any form of modeling, but basically visualization. So that's just the connection. You can share data that are of the same format with any other application apart, with Google Data Studio. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Thank you. Oni, you can ask your question.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, honey.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your presentation. I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Can the Google Data Studio connect to the SQL server?
To the SQL server?
Yes, sir.
I think that's what I just showed you.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Let me take you there again. If you go to add data, can you see?
Yes, sir.
So you can actually look at all the other platforms that you can bring data. Even I can see what do you call it? You can even search for it. SQL. Can you see my SQL?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you can you can connect your Google Data Studio to my SQL, Microsoft SQL Server, another SQL platform. Does that help you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We still have Michael Abifarin that wants to ask a question. Michael, you have the floor now.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
And thank you for your time, sir. While you were making the presentation, you made reference to CSV file, and you said comma separated? I just want to reconfirm. Is it comma delimited or comma separated?
Comma separated.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kindly take the poll as we are rounding up. The poll is still open. Any other question? Clarification? I guess none, sir. We can round up now, sir.
Thank you very much. This is the poll result. Many people have not submitted their responses. So please try to submit your response. You can go to the right hand bottom of your screen and look at the icon activities and click it so that you have the various activities and you see the polls. Click on the polls and submit your response. So thank you very much. When we'll let you know when the next when we continue with the second part of the skill building seminar. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you all for participating.
Thank you so much.
Look forward to having next time.
Pio, I'm trying
Thank you.
to do the poll. It's not clicking.
It is showing
See
ended.
the
It is showing
icon that have triangle. Do you see the icon?
Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, I've seen it.
It's
Hello, sir. It's
activities.
showing ended.
Okay,
No,
some of it are still on. There are 5 pools to be taken.